Have you ever woken up and realized you no longer recognize yourself? Not your face, not your life, not the people around you. Just like that, something has changed, something you can't undo. This is the world of Kafka's Metamorphosis, a world that feels more real the more we try to escape it. Gregor Samsa wakes up one morning, and he's a bug. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, he has physically transformed into a monstrous vermin. And for a moment, he thought he was still dreaming. But the room was familiar. The clock was ticking. Everything felt real, except his body. But that's not the strangest part. The real horror is not the transformation. It's the reaction. Gregor doesn't scream. He doesn't question why. He worries about being late for work. If I don't make it to the train at 7, he thinks, my boss will be furious. What kind of world makes a man turn into an insect and still feel guilty for missing his job? Kafka's genius lies here. Metamorphosis is not a fantasy. It's a tragedy of realism. Gregor was already dehumanized. He just didn't realize it until his body reflected it. He's a traveling salesman. He hates his job. He's underpaid, overworked, and treated like a cog in a machine. He supports his entire family, but gets no real affection or gratitude. Before the insect, he was already invisible, and when he becomes something less than human, his family's true nature is revealed. Not love, not compassion, just disappointment, disgust, and rejection. When his mother finally saw him, she didn't cry. She screamed, not out of sadness, but pure terror. She ran from the room and clung to his father like she was escaping a monster. His father grabbed a stick and drove Gregor back into his room, swinging and hissing wildly until Gregor backed away, bleeding, wounded, and afraid. No one wanted to look at me, he thinks, and yet I could see them, judge me, despise me. Alienation is not only physical, it seeps into your mind, turning familiar faces into strangers, their love into liability. Who are you when you lose your usefulness? Kafka tears open this question with surgical cruelty. Gregor can no longer earn money, and suddenly, the man who fed the family is now treated like a burden. In the beginning, Gregor had a door. It was closed, yes, but it was locked from the outside. He could still hear his family. He could speak. He could beg. But soon, they stopped answering. His words no longer sound like words, just noises, insect noises. He would have used his arms and hands to push himself up, but instead of them, he only had all those little legs, continuously moving in different directions. That's not just horror. That's helplessness. His own body has become unfamiliar. The more he tries to be understood, the more monstrous he becomes. This is where isolation strikes deepest, not from being alone, but from being surrounded and still unseen. Gregor watches his family shift. At first, they show fear, then frustration, and then disgust. One night, Gregor crawls toward the music, Greta playing the violin for their new boarders. He wants to be near her, not to harm, but to remember what it meant to feel. Was he an animal? That music could move him so? And what happens? She sees him and screams. The music ends, the boarders complain, and his sister, once his ally, now declares, "We must get rid of it. That's no longer Gregor." Not he, not my brother. Gregor doesn't fight back, doesn't rage. He returns to his room, lays still, and dies. No funeral, no mourning, just cleaning, just relief. Gregor didn't die suddenly. It was slow, like everything had been slowly taken away from him. He stopped eating the food. He grew weaker each day, lying in the dark corner of his room, barely moving. The apple his father had thrown at him was still stuck in his back, rotting along with his body. No one came to comfort him. No one spoke to him. Eventually, he couldn't even hold his head up. One morning, just before sunrise, he took a final breath, and then there was nothing. No pain, no movement, no sound. Gregor Samsa was gone. The father stretches. The mother relaxes. Greta smiles, for the first time in the story. And that's the cruel brilliance of Kafka. The insect was never the problem. Gregor's existence was only tolerated when he paid the bills. Once he needed care, he became disposable. This is alienation in its purest form. When love is conditional and your worth is measured by your utility, it's not just about Gregor, it's about us. We live in a world that rewards obedience, not individuality, that praises sacrifice, but only when it serves the system. Gregor worked himself to death for a family who never truly saw him. Sound familiar? We chase jobs we hate to afford things we don't need for people who barely notice us. We stay silent when we're unhappy, because that's just life, right? And when we finally break, when we burn out, collapse, or simply can't go on, we're told, pull yourself together. Don't be lazy. Stop being a burden. Kafka's story is not fiction. It's prophecy. It's the quiet, invisible suffering behind so many modern lives. Gregor dies in the end. Alone, unloved, forgotten. And the family, they feel relief. They move on. They take a sunny walk, planning a better future. Now that he's gone, cold, brutal. Metamorphosis is not just about what Gregor became. It's about what the world refused to see, that beneath the shell he was still human, still aching, still hoping. Kafka forces us to ask, what is humanity? Is it a body, a mind, a soul, or just a job title and a paycheck? And if you lost everything that made you useful, would anyone still see you? Gregor's story isn't just a nightmare, it's a mirror.